Amaya holds Leo's hand tightly. It's Saturday. They're walking to a large shopping mall on the other side of town. Leo walks quickly, almost running. He chatters nonstop. He's been looking forward to this walk all week. Last Saturday, he got sick, and they stayed home. Amaya promised they'd definitely go next time. She listens to him and smiles. She likes his energy. After a hard week of work, these walks are their common escape. Leo talks about school, about his friend Max, about the new cartoon. Amaya nods. She looks at his dark curly hair, at his lively eyes. He is all in motion. Sometimes she just listens to the sound of his voice, without understanding the words. It relieves fatigue. They enter the mall. Warm air and the familiar hum of voices envelop them. Leo immediately pulls her aside. He knows the way. He's been here 100 times. Amaya follows him. She feels a slight thrill. It's always nice to see his joy. She adjusts her bag on her shoulder. Inside is her wallet, phone, and a small bottle of water. Everything is as usual. They take the escalator up to the 3rd floor. There's a play area here. Children's voices and cheerful music can be heard from afar. Leo frees his hand from hers. He runs up to the transparent railing and presses his nose to it. "Look, Mom!" he shouts without even turning around. Amaya approaches. She looks. In the center of the area is a new bright red car. It looks like a sports car. It has shiny silver wheels and black stripes on the sides. It stands apart from the other simpler cars. It is clearly the main attraction. "I see," says Amaya. "Beautiful. I want it on her." Leo turns to her. His eyes are shining. "Only on her. Promise." Amaya sighs. She knows this car costs more, but she saw his disappointment last week. She wants to please him. "Okay," she says. "Only on her, but carefully, and you obey from the first word." "Of course!" Leo is already pulling her by the hand towards the entrance to the site. Amaya approaches the checkout. A young woman in uniform smiles. "1 ticket to the racer cube, please," Amaya says. She opens her bag to get her wallet. She feels it at the bottom. She takes it out and opens it. The required amount in small bills is not there. There is only one large bill. The girl takes it and opens the register to give change. At that moment, Amaya's phone vibrates briefly in her bag. It's a text message, perhaps from a coworker, perhaps a message from the bank. She usually ignores such signals when she's out with Leo. But today, she has an unresolved work matter on her mind. A client needed to confirm an order. She'd been waiting all day on Friday for confirmation. Could this be it? This is stupid. It's only a second. Leo is already here, next to her. He's safe. He's waiting to be allowed into the car. He looks at her, full of anticipation. "Just hold on here a second, sweetheart," she says to Leo. "I'm just going to check one message." She looks down into her bag. She pulls aside her wallet to find her phone. Her fingers glide over the cool plastic casing. She feels it and pulls it out halfway to look at the screen. At that very moment, 3 men enter the play area. They enter not through the main children's entrance, but through a nearby passageway. They walk calmly, but their presence changes the atmosphere. They don't look like fathers who have brought their children. They are too collected. Their gazes calmly sweep the space, missing nothing. Jin-ho walks ahead. He's about 30. He's tall, with the broad shoulders of an athletic man. He's wearing a dark, perfectly tailored suit and a simple white shirt without a tie. His black hair is cut short and neatly. His face is calm, almost detached. He's not looking at the rides. He's contemplating something. 2 others walk slightly behind, flanking them. They are also dressed in dark clothes, but less formally. One of them, with short hair, holds a thin tablet. They look like bodyguards or very serious assistants. Their presence is palpable, like a gentle compression of the air. Jin-ho stops near the children's play area. His back is to the red car Leo is looking at. He turns to his companion with the tablet. "Show me the latest figures for the Northern District," he says quietly but clearly. His voice is even, emotionless. The man with the tablet turns on the device and scrolls through something. The other companion stands slightly to the side. He observes the surroundings, but his gaze keeps returning to Jin-ho. Jin-ho listens to the short report. He looks at the tablet, his eyes quickly scanning the numbers. He nods. "That's not enough," he says. "The rates need to be higher. They're finishing up a new residential complex there. There will be more clients. We need an offer that will attract them the first time. Do you understand?" He looks at his people, expecting not just agreement, but complete understanding. Jin-ho wants to emphasize his point. He takes a step back. This step is part of his gesture. He moves his foot forward and shifts his weight onto it. turning his body toward both of his companions simultaneously. His movement is confident and sharp. He doesn't look back. Behind him, only the bright red toy car and the currently empty driveway. He's certain the space behind him is clear. He's completely focused on the conversation, on his plans, on the numbers on his tablet. His foot lands exactly where the car's front wheel will be in a moment. Leo sees his mother searching for something in her bag. He sees the girl at the register counting out his change. He knows he'll be able to get in the car soon. He can't wait any longer. He approaches the red car. The door is unlocked. He opens it and climbs in. The steering wheel is in front of him, a panel with buttons, and 2 pedals on the floor. He's ridden these before. He knows the right pedal is the gas. He rests his foot on it, ready to press it as soon as his mother gives the signal. His hands grip the steering wheel tightly. He looks at his mother. She's still looking at her phone. He wants to get her attention. He wants to show that he's already in the machine and ready. He presses the pedal a little, just to feel it, but the pedal is very sensitive. The car jerks forward, sharply and unexpectedly. Leo yelps in surprise. His hands reflexively grip the steering wheel even tighter. He can't take his foot off the pedal. He freezes. The little red car picks up speed. It drives straight ahead, right at the feet of a man in a dark suit, who is standing with his back to him. Leo sees the man's broad back getting closer and closer. He tries to shout, but the sound gets stuck in his throat. He tries to turn the steering wheel, but his fingers are locked. The car won't respond. Amaya finally looks up from her phone. She hears the faint sound of an engine and sees the red car with her son inside jerk into motion. Her eyes widen. She sees a man take a step back. She sees the inevitable, "Leo!" she screams. But it's too late. The car's front wheel hits Jin-ho's expensive leather boot with a dull thud. The force of the impact isn't great, but it's enough to knock the footing off. Jin-ho, not expecting anything like this, loses his balance. His honed athletic reflexes kick in, but his leg is already buckling. He tries to cushion his fall, but the weight of his body collapses on his side. He lands on the clean floor of the play area with a heavy, dull thud that seems unnaturally loud in this space. Everything around freezes. Amaya's scream is cut off when the man's body hits the floor. The sound is dry and terrifying. Her ears go temporarily deaf. All she sees is a picture. Her son in the red car, the man on the floor, and everything around her frozen, like a bad dream. Thoughts don't work. Instincts kick in. Her body moves on its own. She lunges forward, dropping her phone. It hits the floor with a dull thud, but she doesn't hear it. Her bag slips off her shoulder and drags behind her. She doesn't notice. Her entire being is focused on 2 points, Leo and the man. She runs around the fallen man, not even looking at him. She flies up to the car, which is now motionless. Leo sits inside, white as a wall. His eyes are huge, full of terror. He's looking not at his mother, but at the man who fell. "Leo! Honey!" Amaya breathes. Her voice sounds hoarse and alien. She grabs the car door. Her fingers slide over the smooth plastic. She finally opens it and almost pulls Leo out. He doesn't resist, his body soft and unresponsive. She presses him against her, feeling him tremble ever so slightly. It's okay. I'm here," she whispers into his hair. But she doesn't believe her own words. Her heart is pounding somewhere in her throat, making it difficult to breathe. She turns her back to the place where he fell, shielding her son with her body. Only now does she dare look. Leo doesn't cry. He can't. Fear grips him. He feels the warmth of his mother's hands, hears her voice, but it seems far away. The same image keeps playing in his head. A huge back, a thud, a crash. He pressed the pedal and someone fell. He did it. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees the black trousers and boots of a fallen man. He's afraid to look up and see his face. He hides his face in his mother's jacket, inhaling her familiar scent. His arms hang limply at his sides. He wants to disappear. Everything happens in just 2 seconds. As Amaya rushes toward Leo, Jin-ho's 2 companions come to their senses. Their previously calm faces become hard as stone. Cold steel flashes in their eyes. The one with the tablet tosses the device onto the nearest bench. It glides across the plastic with a clanking sound. Both men move in sync, without unnecessary haste, but with alarming speed. They don't run. They form a semicircle and close it around Amaya and the child. They position themselves to cut them off from the rest of the hall, from the exits, from prying eyes. They don't touch them, but their presence is felt like a physical wall. One of them, the second one, looks straight at Amaya. His gaze is empty and heavy. He says nothing. He simply looks, assessing the threat. His hands are free, but Amaya understands that he is ready for anything. A dead zone of silence forms around them. Other parents freeze in place, some instinctively pulling their children away. The ride attendant stands frozen at the ticket counter, money in hand, her eyes wide. Jinho lies on his side for a second, too. He doesn't make a sound. He's just collecting his thoughts. A sharp pain shoots through his ankle and thigh, but he ignores it. It's physical pain. It's bearable. His mind works with cold clarity. He analyzes the situation. A blow. A fall. A kiddie ride. This is not an attack. This is an accident. Stupid. Absurd. He rests his elbow on the floor and slowly rises, first to one knee, then to his full height. His movements are a little stiff, but deliberate. He brushes his left jacket sleeve with his palm, then his right pant leg. Dust from the floor and a clear short mark left by a small wheel remain on the dark wool fabric. He stares at this mark, his face expressionless. He tests his leg, putting his weight on it slightly. It hurts, but the bones are intact. It's just a bruise, a contusion. He looks up and sees his men surrounding a woman and child. He sees the frightened woman clutching the boy. He sees the red car, which now looks like a pathetic toy. Amaya feels eyes on her. She cautiously looks up and meets Jinho's gaze. His face is calm, too calm. There's no anger in his eyes, but there's no understanding either. There's an icy emptiness there, drowning all her hopes for a simple apology. Her mouth is dry. She tries to swallow, but she can't. She has to say something. She has to. I'm sorry. Her voice breaks. She hugs Leo tighter. It was an accident. He didn't mean it. Please forgive me. I'll pay for the suit cleaning. I'll pay for everything. She speaks quickly, confusedly. Her thoughts are racing. She thinks about the cost of such a suit, about her bank account, about the fact that these people are clearly not ordinary. She watches as the other mall patrons slowly, trying not to attract attention, move away. They remain alone in the circle, out of fear and tension. Jinho listens to her stammering apology. He doesn't interrupt. He looks not at her, but over her head, at the boy who still hasn't shown his face, the boy who decided to attack him with a toy tank. He takes a step forward. His guards automatically part to allow him passage, but remain in their positions, ready to close the circle again at any moment. Jinho stops 2 steps away from them. He tilts his head, trying to look into the child's face. Leo feels this gaze and involuntarily turns away, hiding even deeper inside his mother. The silence becomes unbearable. Amaya is ready to scream. And then Jinho speaks. His voice is quiet, low, absolutely even. There is no threat or mockery in it. It is a statement of fact. Fast car, he says, looking at Leo's hair. These words hang in the air. Amaya doesn't understand. She expects anger, accusations, demands. But he talks about the car. Jinho pauses. His eyes slide from the boy to the mother. He sees her panic, her defensiveness, her fear. He sees something familiar in her, something that has nothing to do with this absurd situation. He slowly raises his right hand, no higher than his shoulder, a simple, restrained gesture, palm facing his people, fingers slightly curved. That's all. But that's enough. Both guards, keeping their eyes on Amaya, take a synchronized step back, then another. They don't retreat. They simply increase the distance. The wall of their bodies becomes less dense, but they're still there, still on guard. The tension eases a degree, but doesn't disappear. Now, in the center of the circle, there are only Jinho, Amaya, and Leo. Jinho looks directly at Amaya. He studies her face, her simple yet neat clothes, her bag hanging in the crook of her elbow. He notices the absence of a ring on her finger. He sees the weariness around her eyes, undisguised even by panic. He sees the determination in her posture. She still shields her son, even when there seems to be no immediate threat. He asks a question, simple and unexpected. Are you alone with him? He asks. His tone is still even and businesslike, as if they're discussing the terms of a contract rather than a toy car falling underfoot. The question stuns Amaya. Of all the things she'd dreaded hearing, this wasn't it. Her mind frantically tries to figure out why he needs to know this. What difference does it make? Is it a trap? Does he want to know if she has protection, a husband, someone who can intervene? She looks into his impenetrable eyes and sees no malice there. She sees only cold, analytical interest. She doesn't want to answer. She's afraid to reveal any information about herself to these people, but lying seems even more dangerous. He seems to be the type of person who hates lies more than anything else. She presses her lips together. Then, almost imperceptibly, she nods. Once. Briefly. Yes. She is alone. She waits to see what happens next. Waits for the verdict. Waits for him to name a sum she can't pay, or for him to signal to his men. And she doesn't even know what they might do here, in broad daylight. But Jin-ho simply looks at her. He's weighing something in his mind. His gaze shifts back to Leo, who finally dared to peek out from behind his mother's jacket. The boy looks at him, his eyes wide and wet with suppressed tears. Amaya feels her heart begin to pound again. The worst thing is the unknown, and this unknown has lasted too long. Jin-ho looks at Amaya. He sees her fear, but he also sees the stubbornness in her gaze. He sees how she tries to stand up straight despite the trembling in her knees. This woman is afraid, but she doesn't break. It's interesting. He pauses, letting her process his question and his answer. Then he turns his head slightly and points his chin to the side. Behind a glass partition, there's a small shopping center cafe. There are tables, some empty. "Let's talk," he says. His voice is still even. It's not a request. It's not even an invitation. It's a statement of the next step. It's calmer there. The child can stay here and ride. We can see him from here. He nods toward the platform. One of his security guards discreetly attracts the attention of a confused ride attendant. She nods silently, eyes wide, knowing now is not the time to ask questions. Amaya looks at the cafe, then at Leo, then back at Jin-ho. 1,000 thoughts swarm through her head, all of them bad. Should she go with this man? Leave Leo? Is this a trap? Maybe they want to lure her away from people? Or take Leo away? But she also sees something else. These people don't look like the kind who make a scene in public. They operate quietly, on the edge of the law, but still with their own rules. If they wanted to cause harm right now, they would have done it already. They would be unstoppable. Refuse? Say, "No, I'm not going anywhere"? She looks into Jin-ho's cold eyes. She knows that's not an option. Refusal could be perceived as an insult. It could ignite an anger she's never seen before. He suggested talking. This was a chance to settle this with words, not something worse. She feels her body freeze with terror, but her mind tells her, go, decide. Protect Leo now by making a deal. She leans toward her son, still holding him by the shoulders. Her voice trembles, but she tries to speak clearly. Leo, listen to me. You're going to stay here and ride in the car. Calm down, just like we agreed. Mom needs to talk to that guy. I'll be over there, behind that glass. You'll see me the whole time. Okay? Aye. Leo looks at her, then glances fearfully at Jin-ho. He shakes his head, unwilling to let go. No, Mom. It's okay. She kisses the top of his head. I promise. You'll see me. Be a good boy. She looks up at Jin-ho. Her face is pale but determined. She doesn't nod. She simply says one word. Okay. Jin-ho turns and walks toward the playground exit. He doesn't look back to see if she's following him. He's sure she is. Amaya releases Leo, gently pushing him toward the worker, who's already approaching, trying to smile. Leo catches her gaze. Amaya is forced to break away from him and follow Jin-ho. Every step is an effort. Her legs are like jelly. The guards move in parallel. One walks slightly ahead of Jin-ho, as if leading the way. The second is slightly behind Amaya, not getting any closer, but not falling behind either. They enter the cafe. The polite waitress opens her mouth to greet them, but, glancing at the group, freezes and simply steps aside. Jin-ho chooses a table right by the window. From here, she has a truly perfect view of the entire play area. She can see the red car and the little Leo figurine, which the worker is now placing back in it. She can see everything. Jin-ho sits with his back to the wall, facing the room and the window. He gestures for Amaya to sit opposite him. The guards don't sit. They move to the counter at the entrance. They stand relaxed, but their eyes are constantly moving, scanning the space. They create an invisible perimeter. Amaya sits on the edge of the chair. She places her bag on her lap and clutches it so tightly that her knuckles turn white. She keeps her eyes on Leo. He sits motionless in the car, looking straight at her through the window. She raises her hand and makes a small, encouraging gesture. He waves slowly back. Jin-ho is in no hurry. He doesn't order coffee. He simply sits, his hands on the table, looking at Amaya. She feels his gaze on her, like a physical touch. What is your name? He asks finally. Amaya, she replies. It doesn't even occur to her to lie. Amaya, he repeats, as if testing the name. What do you do, Amaya? The question catches her off guard again. What does it matter? I work in an office. As a secretary and assistant in a small firm. I handle paperwork, translations, and organizing meetings. Translations? He asks again, a momentary flicker of interest in his eyes. From English, I studied, she says briefly. He nods. Is it hard? Working alone? Raising a son? His questions are direct and dispassionate. They don't sound prying. They're interrogative, but very polite. Amaya looks at her hands. What can she say? Lie that everything is wonderful? He won't believe her. And why should she? Yes, she says quietly. It's hard. There's not always enough work. Bills, kindergarten, then school. There's never enough time, both time and money. She says this without self-pity, simply as a fact. Jin-ho listens silently. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't make sympathetic comments. He simply absorbs the information. Do your relatives help? He asks further. No, my parents are far away, and they have their own problems. The child's father? Amaya presses her lips together for a second. It's a sore subject, but she's already begun to tell the truth. Not in our lifetime, for a long time. She expects mockery, a condescending remark, but his face is expressionless. And you're coping, he says. It's not a question. It's a statement. Amaya shrugs. What do you mean, coping? I live, I work, I take care of him. Every day is just another day to live. She suddenly realizes she's speaking too frankly to a strange and dangerous man, but the words spilled out can't be undone. And it seems what he needs is the truth, the whole truth, without embellishment. You're not asking for help, he notes. Who should I ask? Bitterness creeps into her voice, but she quickly suppresses it. She shakes her head. Sorry, it's not your problem. Jin-ho leans back in his chair. He looks not at her, but out the window at Leo, who has finally begun to slowly and carefully circle around, constantly glancing at their table. The cafe is quiet. Only the muffled hum of the shop floor can be heard. I rarely meet honest people, Amaya, he says finally. His voice is just as even, but there's a hint of something akin to respect in it, especially those who are honest in difficult situations. Most start lying, making excuses, looking for someone to blame, or crying. He turns his head and looks straight at her. You're not doing that. You're simply stating the facts. You're not asking for pity. You protected the child, even when you were afraid. That takes strength. Amaya is silent. She doesn't know what to say. Is it a compliment? Or is this a prelude to something terrible? Her brain refuses to believe that this man, who fell because of her son, is now praising her. Strength is a valuable resource, he continues. So is honesty. There are almost no resources on the market. They can't be bought for the money you might offer me to clean my suit. He places his palms on the table. So forget about the suit. It doesn't matter. Jin-ho's words hang in the air. Forget the suit. Amaya looks at him, disbelieving. It's too good to be true. That means there's something else. Something worse. Jin-ho sees the distrust in her eyes. He leans forward slightly, closing the distance between them. His voice becomes even quieter, almost intimate. But there is no warmth in it. There is clarity. But nothing is completely free. There's a balance in the world. There was an incident today. It created an imbalance, he says. I could demand money. You could offer it. It would be a simple, foolish deal. But I see that money isn't just paper for you. It's your time, your energy, your safety with your son. Taking that from a man who's already struggling, it's unreasonable and unmanly. He pauses, letting her take it in. So I propose a different balance. I ask you for one favor. Not now. In the future. When I need it. In exchange, I forget what happened here today. Forever. We're even. Amaya freezes. A favor. What favor? Her mind races. What could she give such a man? What could he ask for? Something illegal? Dangerous? Related to her work? Maybe he'd want to use her to translate some scary documents. Or something with Leo. No. She can't even think about it. What but favor? She squeezes out with difficulty. Jin-ho shakes his head. I don't know. Not yet. It's not a specific thing. It's an opportunity to ask. One time. Within the limits of your capabilities and abilities. I won't ask you to do something you can't do for moral or physical reasons. It will be something within your area of expertise. Like a transfer. Or some organization. Something that won't harm you or your son. You have the right to refuse if you find the request unacceptable. But if you refuse, then we'll go back to the beginning. to the question of compensation, and it won't be monetary anymore. He says it calmly, but the last phrase hangs in the air like a heavy weight. He gives her a choice. Not a free one, but a choice nonetheless. "Do you trust my word?" Amaya asks, her voice challenging. Jin-ho almost smiles. It's not a warm smile. It's the cold smirk of a man who knows his own worth. "No, and you don't trust me." "That's right. We don't trust. We're making a tacit agreement, based on mutual benefit. I need a reliable, honest person on the periphery of my affairs. Someone who won't be associated with me. You need this trouble gone, not threatening your peace of mind. You fulfill one request, and you're free. I get what I need without resorting to brute force or blackmail, which create more problems than they solve. It's rational." Amaya stares at him silently. Her mind screams at her to refuse, to get up and leave. But her instincts, sharpened by years of fighting for survival, tell her otherwise. This man is telling the truth. He doesn't want a long-term relationship with her. He needs a disposable tool, and he offers a civilized, if frightening, solution. The alternative is immediate, uncontrollable danger. Enmity with someone whose capabilities she can't even begin to appreciate. She looks at Leo. He's driving a little more confidently now, but he still shoots anxious glances their way. She must protect his peace of mind, now and in the future. She exhales slowly. She doesn't give consent out loud, but she doesn't say no either. Jin-ho takes her silence as acceptance of the terms. He doesn't require verbal confirmation. He takes a thin silver cigarette case or business card holder from his inside jacket pocket. He opens it. Inside are white cards made of thick cardboard. He takes one out. There is no name on it, no job title, no address, just 10 digits. A phone number. The digits are printed in a simple font. He places the card on the table between them and nudges it towards her with his fingertips. "This number," he says, "it's not for public use. It's just for you. It will be active when I need it. You will keep it. When he calls from this number, you will answer. We will discuss what is needed. After the request is fulfilled, this number will die. You will throw it away. Our paths will diverge." Amaya looks at the white rectangle as if it were a poisonous snake. She doesn't want to touch it, but she reaches out. Her fingers take the card. The cardboard is smooth, cold. She quickly puts it in her jacket pocket without looking. That seems to be all. Jin-ho pushes his chair back and stands up. His movement is smooth, but Amaya notices how he shifts his weight slightly onto his good leg for a split second. The fall has taken its toll. "Let's go see your son," he says. It's an order, but phrased as a suggestion. Amaya stands up. Her knees are wobbly, but she holds on. They walk back to the gaming area. The guards take up their positions again. One in front, one behind. The crowd in the mall continues to part for them, sensing the energy emanating from the group. Leo, seeing them coming, immediately stops the car. He gets out and stands next to them, shifting unsteadily from foot to foot. His small face is full of worry. Amaya approaches him first. She squats down in front of him, taking his hands. "It's okay, sweetheart. We've discussed everything. No more problems." Leo looks not at her, but at Jin-ho, who stops a few steps away. The boy is silent. Jin-ho looks at them, at the mother crouched before her child, and at the frightened boy. There's no softness in his gaze, but there's something akin to recognition. Recognition of their small, fragile, yet stubborn unit. He catches Amy's eye. She rises, taking up her position again between him and Leo. Jin-ho looks straight at her. He doesn't say goodbye. He doesn't say be careful. He simply nods slowly, almost imperceptibly. Once, briefly and clearly. This nod says a lot. It says, terms accepted. It says, I remember you. It says, wait for a call. Then he turns around. His movement is sharp and final. He walks away. Without looking back, his back is straight. His gait slightly stiff, but still commanding. His guards instantly fall into line. One walks slightly to the side, covering his flank. The second pauses for a moment, casting a final, assessing glance at Amaya and Leo. There's no threat in his gaze. There's only a cold, matter-of-fact statement. You're in the database. Then he too turns around and catches up with his boss. 3 men disappear into the crowd of shoppers. They don't stand out with loud conversations or rude gestures. They simply walk, and people instinctively make way for them. A few seconds later, they're no longer visible behind the clothing racks and advertising stands. Amaya stands motionless. She's still holding Leo's hand. She's looking in the direction they disappeared. Her body feels empty, exhausted. The silence rings in her ears, now seeming even louder than before. Life gradually comes alive around them. Sounds return. Children's laughter, music from the shops, the hum of voices. People who had been frozen begin to move, looking back at Amaya with curiosity and relief. The play area fills with noise once again. But for Amaya, the world is no longer the same. It's now divided into before and after, before the fall, after the nod. In her pocket lies a cold rectangle of cardboard, waiting for its moment. She feels its weight, disproportionately huge for such a tiny piece of paper. Leo gently tugs her hand. "Mom, are we going home?" His voice brings her out of her stupor. She looks at him, at his large, still frightened eyes. She has to pull herself together. Now, for him. "Yes, honey," she says, her voice hoarse. "Let's go home. It's all over now." She knows it's a lie. It's only just begun, but it's a lie she has to tell. At least today. At least now, to get him away from here, where the air still smells of danger and Jinho's expensive cologne. She picks him up, even though he's too heavy for it. She holds him tightly, feeling the warmth of his small body, and with this weight in her arms and another invisible one in her pocket, she slowly walks toward the exit, away from the bright, noisy, suddenly alien shopping center. Amaya holds Leo's hand so tightly that he begins to twist his palm. "Mom, it hurts," he says quietly. She shudders and loosens her grip, but doesn't let go. Her fingers are still clenched around his small hand. They walk through the mall toward the exit. The bright lights, the colorful storefronts, the music, it all floats past like a fog. She sees nothing. She only feels three things: her son's warm hand, the hard rectangle of the card in his jacket pocket, and an icy lump of fear lodged somewhere beneath her ribs. She mechanically heads for the escalator. Leo is silent. He walks next to her, pressing against her leg. He doesn't look around either. He steals glances at his mother's face. It's tense and pale. They step outside. The evening air is cool. Amaya takes a deep breath, but it doesn't help. The air feels thick. She glances over her shoulder. No one familiar, no dark figures, just ordinary people. She stops at the bus stop. Leo stands next to her, his face buried in her jacket. She strokes his head, his dark curls. Her movements are automatic, gentle, but her thoughts are far away. The bus pulls up almost immediately. They board. Amaya pays the fare and leads Leo to an empty window seat. She helps him sit down and then sits down next to him, taking his hand in hers again. The bus starts moving. Leo looks out the window at the flashing lights. He's very quiet. Usually, after a stroll through the mall, he's excited and talkative. Now he's silent. Amaya realizes she has to say something to get things back on track, at least for him. "So," she begins, her voice sounding unnaturally cheerful, "did you like the car?" Leo is silent for a few seconds, then nods, not taking his eyes off the window. "Yes." "Were you scared to ride?" He nods again. "A little." "But you did it. I saw it. You managed it perfectly," she says, trying to sound proud. Leo finally turns to face her. His eyes are wide and serious. "Mom, was that guy really angry?" The question she'd been dreading. She was ready for it. "No, honey. He wasn't angry. He was just surprised. That's what happens when the unexpected happens. We've talked it over and figured it all out. There's nothing more to worry about. Everything's fine." She looks him straight in the eyes, trying to project confidence. She sees some of the fear slowly dissipate in his gaze. He believes her, because she's a mother, because mothers always tell the truth. The bitterness of this realization rises in her throat, but she swallows it. "He won't do anything bad to us?" Leo whispers. "No," Amaya says firmly. "It won't. I've sorted everything out. I promise." He presses himself against her again. She wraps her arms around his shoulders. The bus moves along, swaying on the turns. She looks out the dark window, where her and Leo's silhouettes are reflected. She sees herself reflected, a woman with a tired, tense face, and the card in her pocket seems to burn her skin, even through the fabric. At home, they eat a reheated dinner. Leo is quiet, but more animated. He's watching cartoons. Amaya is clearing the table and washing the dishes. Her hands move as usual, but her mind is elsewhere. She replays it all in her head, every second. The fall, Jinho's voice, his proposal, the card. What kind of service is this? When will he call? In a week? In a month? In a year? Waiting is the worst thing. It stretches out and fills all the space. She puts Leo to bed. He asks to read her a story. She sits on the edge of his bed, opens the book, and begins to read. Her voice is even, calm, but inside, everything is seething. She thinks about work. Will she be able to cope if they ask her to do something related to the company's documents? Will it be a betrayal? No, he said. Nothing that will harm her or Leo. But how does he define that? His morality is clearly different from her. Leo falls asleep, exhausted by the day's experiences. Amaya turns off the light in his room and goes to the kitchen. She sits at the table. The silence of the apartment weighs on her ears. She takes a white card from her jacket pocket. She places it on the table in front of her. Simple black numbers on a white background. Nothing else. It's like a lottery ticket, but with a guaranteed, terrifying win. She thinks about throwing it away, right now. Tear it up and flush it down the toilet. Tell herself it never happened. But she can't. She remembers his face, his cold certainty. If he wants to find her, he will. He has her face, the approximate neighborhood where she lives. They rode the bus from that stop. He can find out more about her if he wants. The card is more than just a number. It's a contract symbol. If she destroys the symbol, she breaks the contract. And then he'll return to the question of non-monetary compensation. What could that be? A threat to Leo? Her job? Physical violence? She doesn't know, and she doesn't want to find out. She hides the card, not in her wallet, not in her purse. She finds a small metal candy box lying in a drawer with odds and ends. She puts the card in there and closes the lid. Then she hides the box on the top shelf of the kitchen cabinet, behind the cereal jars. Out of sight, but not from the heart. She goes to bed, turns out the light. Her eyes adjust to the darkness. And then the thoughts come rushing back with renewed vigor. What if he calls tomorrow? What will she say? What will his voice sound like on the phone? Will he be just as calm? Or will he put pressure on her? But what if the request turns out to be something terrible? What will she choose then? Her well-being or her conscience? She thinks about Leo. All her decisions are now tied to him. Every step she takes reverberates in his life. If she refuses Jin, Ho, and brings disaster upon herself, Leo will suffer. If she agrees to something bad and gets caught, Leo will be alone. She's trapped. She tosses and turns. The sheets feel scratchy. Every sound outside the window, footsteps on the stairs, the hum of a car, makes her heart skip a beat. She listens. Is it the phone? But her phone is silent. She thinks about her life. She's always handled everything on her own. School, work, having a child, the endless bills. She was proud of it. She was strong. And today she feels weaker than ever. Her strength has been nothing in the face of a different kind of strength. In the face of a man who simply walked into her life from around the corner and changed everything with a nod. She looks at the glowing numbers on her alarm clock. Midnight. 1 o'clock. 1. Sleep won't come. The same thought keeps swirling in her head. What will happen when he calls? She imagines various scenarios. She translates some documents. She hands over a package. She gives out information about her company. Each scenario seems increasingly bleak. Towards morning, she is overcome by a short, restless sleep. She dreams that she is in the mall. Leo is driving the red car again. Jin Ho is standing in the way, but this time, he doesn't fall. He stands motionless as a rock, and the car crashes against his feet. Amaya runs, but she can't move. And Jin Ho slowly turns his head and looks at her. He holds a white card in his hand. He holds it to his ear like a phone, and his lips move silently. She wakes up in a cold sweat. It's still dark. It's 5 in the morning. She no longer tries to sleep. She lies there, staring at the ceiling, listening to Leo's even breathing from the next room. Her anxious thoughts don't dissipate with the dawn. They only become clearer, more solid. They turn into a cold, drawn-out anticipation. Anticipation of the call that will change her life for the second time. And this time, she won't be caught off guard. She will wait, every day, every hour, clutching the invisible card in her fist, and thinking about only one thing: how to protect her son from the consequences of that long-awaited walk. Several days pass. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Life seems to be returning to normal. But this feeling is deceptive. In the morning, Amaya wakes Leo for kindergarten. She prepares breakfast and makes him sandwiches to go. She smiles at him and asks what they'll be doing in class today. Everything is as usual. But now, every morning, before leaving the house, she pauses for a second at the door, listening. Is the doorbell ringing? Then she pushes the thought away. Too early. Too absurd. She's on her way to work. She sits at her computer, typing documents, answering calls. Coworkers joke, her boss gives her orders. Everything is as usual. But now, when an unfamiliar number rings on her work phone, she catches her breath for a second. She stares at the screen, waits for the number to be identified, and only then picks up. And every time, it's a client or a supplier. She exhales and continues working, but concentration is becoming more difficult. She often gets distracted, looks out the window, her thoughts wandering. That evening, she picks Leo up from kindergarten. He barely remembers that day anymore. He's chatting again, laughing, asking her to buy him ice cream. Amaya does. They walk home, holding hands. She looks at him and feels a sharp, piercing tenderness. And fear of ruining everything. She cooks dinner, washes the dishes, checks Leo's homework, though they hardly ever assign homework at kindergarten. They just draw. She reads to him at night. All the rituals are observed, but there are new rituals. Every evening, before bed, she quietly peers up at the top shelf of the kitchen cabinet. She simply looks at that same jar of cereal, behind which lies the box. She doesn't take it out. She simply checks if it's still there, as if that box might just crawl away on its own. She started looking at her personal phone more often. Before, she might leave it in her purse all evening. Now it's always nearby, on the nightstand, on the kitchen table while she's eating dinner. She stares at the screen even when it's not lit, waiting. Thursday passes, then Friday. The weekend arrives. She and Leo go to the park. The weather is nice. Leo runs around Tali playground, swings on the swings. Amia sits on a bench and watches him. She tries to enjoy this simple moment. The sun, her son's laughter, the carefree morning, but her joy is taut as a string. An invisible clockwork ticks in her head. When? When will he call? She finds herself analyzing every detail of that conversation in the cafe. His words, "Within your means." What does that mean? Her means are modest. She has no connections, no access to anything valuable. Only her work, her knowledge of English, her ability to organize. So, most likely, something related to this. Perhaps he needs a letter translated? Or help booking tickets? A hotel for one of his people? Something simple. It's a slim hope, but she clings to it. Sometimes, late at night, when Leo is sleeping, despair overwhelms her. She thinks it would be better to give all the money back at once, to borrow, to take out a loan, but pay it off and forget about it. But then she remembers his cold eyes. He didn't want money. He wanted a debt that would bind her to him more tenuously, but more firmly. A debt of money can be paid off and erased. But this debt, it can't simply be repaid. It must be worked off, and only he decides when and how. More than a week passes. The second week of waiting begins. Amaya slowly begins to think that maybe he's changed his mind. Maybe he's forgotten. Maybe she was so insignificant to him that he simply lost interest. This thought brings a faint, timid relief. On Thursday evening, she was especially tired from work. It had been a tough day, with so many urgent matters. She came home, almost exhausted. Leo was a bit cranky and didn't want to eat his porridge. She barely managed to persuade him, wash him, and put him to bed. Today, she didn't even have the strength to read. She simply lay next to him in the dark until he fell asleep. Then she takes a shower. The hot water washes away some of the fatigue. She puts on her pajamas, pours herself some tea, and sits on the sofa with a book, but her eyes are drooping. She puts the book down, turns off the light in the living room, and goes to the bedroom. She places her phone on the nightstand, as always. She lies down. Her eyes close immediately. A deep, heavy sleep of exhaustion overwhelms her. And then, in the very depths of the night, when the darkness outside is absolute, and the apartment is quiet, her phone vibrates. It doesn't ring. It's on silent, but it's lying on the wooden surface of the nightstand. The vibration produces a deep, persistent rattling sound. Amaya has fallen so deeply into sleep that at first she doesn't understand what's happening. Her consciousness slowly emerges from the darkness. A rattling sound, constant, intrusive. She blinks in the darkness, trying to comprehend. And suddenly, a shock runs through her. She instantly comes to her senses. Her heart starts pounding somewhere in her temples. She sits up abruptly in bed. Her hand reaches for the nightstand. Her fingers touch the cold glass screen of her phone. She picks it up. The screen glows in the darkness with a blinding white light. It reads unknown number in large numbers and letters. No name, no photo, just numbers. She doesn't recognize them right away. But she shouldn't. She's never seen them before, only once, on a white card. But her body, her gut, recognizes this signal. This is it. She freezes. She sits on the bed, clutching the vibrating, glowing phone in her hand. It hums in her palm like a living, dangerous creature. She looks at the door to Leo's room. It's closed. He's fast asleep. The vibration continues. The buzzing stops, then starts again. The call doesn't hang up. The caller is serious. Amaya knows she must answer. Now. She can't keep him waiting. Her throat is dry. She swipes her finger across the screen to accept the call. Her hand is shaking. She puts the phone to her ear. She doesn't say a word. She just listens. There's silence on the line. Not absolute. There's some distant background noise. Maybe the street. Maybe a car. Then, even, calm breathing. And then the voice. Low, recognizable, devoid of any emotion. The same voice she heard at the cafe table. Amaya, Jinho says. He says her name without question. He simply states the fact that it is she. He knows it is her. She can't utter a word. Her tongue is stuck to the roof of her mouth. I need your help, he continues. Just as simple. No preamble. No hello. No, sorry it's late. Just a statement of fact, and getting down to business. His voice is clear, uncluttered. He speaks quietly, but every word is pronounced. There's no threat or request in his tone. There's only confidence that the conversation has begun, and the next step will follow. Amaya finally forces herself to breathe. I'm listening, she breathes. Her own voice sounds alien to her, hoarse with sleep and fear. There's another short pause on the line. He's either considering something or simply giving her time to gather her thoughts. Tomorrow, during your lunch break, you'll need to take an hour and a half off from work. Is that possible? It's not a question of possibility. It's a question of whether she agrees to the terms. An hour and a half, during lunch, from work. Yes, Amaya says without hesitation. She can't say no. Even if it were impossible, she would find a way. It's possible, Jinho says. You'll need to come to the address I'm about to tell you. It's the Embankment Tower Business Center. Do you know it? Amaya knows. It's a new, expensive business center in a prestigious area. She was driving past. Yes, I know. You'll need to go up to the 22nd floor, office 2204. They'll be waiting for you there. You'll be given a packet of documents. Your task is to translate them from English into Russian. Briefly, the gist. Not verbatim. The main points, the figures, the conditions. You'll have 1 hour to do this. Then you'll hand over the originals and your translation. And then you're on your way. That's it. Any questions? He laid it out clearly, like a military operation. Time, place, mission, nothing superfluous. Translation of documents. In an expensive office on the 22nd floor. This falls within the scope of her capabilities. It's even her profession. It's not a crime. It's just a job. A quick, strange one, but a job nonetheless. Amaya asks anyway. She needs to know. A commercial proposal from foreign partners, he replies without hesitation. They sent it with a bunch of unnecessary information. I need the essence to make a decision. My people aren't good at that. You are. That's all you need to know. He pauses again. Is that acceptable to you? He asks, formally giving her the right to refuse, but they both know it's a formality. Amaya stares into the darkness of her bedroom. She thinks about Leo, about how morning will come in a few hours. She'll take him to kindergarten, go to work, and at lunch, she'll do this work, and maybe that will be the end. He'll get what he wanted. They'll be even. Yes, she says. That's acceptable. Okay, comes the voice on the other end of the line. Remember the address. Embankment Tower, 22nd floor, office 2204. Tomorrow, 1300 hours. Don't be late. And, Amaya? Yes? Take your passport with you. They'll ask for it at the checkpoint. No problem. Everything is legal. Good night. Click. The connection was lost. Amaya slowly lowers the phone. The screen goes dark, plunging the room into darkness. She sits motionless. His voice still rings in her ears. I need your help. It's begun. The wait is over. Now the action begins. Tomorrow at 1300, she has a mission and instructions. Everything is simple and clear, but her heart is pounding as if she just ran a marathon. She looks at Leo's door. Now she has to do it. For him. So that shadow from the mall will finally let them go. She puts the phone back on the nightstand and lies down. But there's no more sleep. She lies with her eyes open, staring at the ceiling, mentally repeating the address. Embankment Tower, 22nd floor, office 2204, 1300, passport. Her life has changed again. Not in the future, right now. And tomorrow will no longer be an ordinary day. It will be the day she goes to fulfill her part of a strange, terrifying deal. Amaya isn't sleeping. She lies motionless, but inside she's shaking. Her thoughts are racing in circles. 1300. Passport. 22nd floor. Dark blue, outside pre-dawn. Her movements are slow, as if struggling against the resistance of water. She prepares breakfast, listening to the silence. The bell seems to have punched a hole in this silence, and now a cold wind of fear blows through it. Leo wakes up in his usual mood. He doesn't feel his mother's tension. He eats porridge, fusses over his itchy sweater. Amaya helps him dress, ties his shoelaces. Her fingers are stiff. She kisses the top of his head at the door, and this ordinary gesture seems so fragile today. "Have a nice day, sunshine," she says, and her voice sounds normal. She's learned this, pretending to be normal. "Bye, Mom." Leo runs to the teacher without even turning around. Amaya is on her way to work. The subway, the crush, the strange faces. She's usually lost in her thoughts or listening to music. Today she's scanning faces. Just in case, will she recognize anyone? Those two security guards? Funny, but she can't stop. She comes into the office, sits at her desk, turns on the computer. Coffee, morning mail. Everything is as usual, but today she looks at her watch every 5 minutes. Time passes unnaturally slowly. A colleague, Natasha, calls her to a meeting. Amaya nods and picks up a notepad. She sits in the conference room, staring at the graphs on the screen, but doesn't hear a word. In her head, the words tick. Embankment Tower, 22nd floor, 2204. She imagined that office. Glass walls, expensive furniture, silence. The meeting ends. She returns to her seat. It's 11 o'clock, 2 hours until 1300. She tries to work. She types up a contract. She makes mistakes, corrects them. Her boss, Oleg Sergeyevich, passes by and says, "Amaya, are you okay? You look tired." "Everything's fine. I just didn't get enough sleep," she answers automatically. He nods and moves on. She's thinking about what to say to get out for lunch. She usually eats in the cafeteria on the ground floor or goes to the nearest cafe. Today, she'll simply approach Oleg Sergeyevich and say she has urgent personal business. She won't lie. He won't pry. He's a good man. At 12:30, she can't take it anymore. She gets up, goes to the boss's office, and knocks. "Come in." "Oleg Sergeyevich, I need to leave for an hour and a half. Personal matters. I'll catch up this evening." He looks at her over his glasses. He sees her pale face. "Nothing serious? Is Leo okay?" Yes, he's fine. We just need to resolve one issue." "Okay, go. Just don't be late for your meeting with Ivanov at 4. "Thank you, I'll make it." She returns to her desk, picks up her bag, and checks her passport for the 10th time. It's in a separate pocket. She leaves the office. The fresh air outside hits her face. She stops and takes a deep breath. It's time. She hails a taxi. She gives the address. "Tower on the embankment." The driver nods and turns on the meter. She looks out the window. The city floats past. She feels as if she's driving not on her lunch break, but into another dimension. The tower building is visible from afar. It's tall, mirrored, and glitters in the sun. A taxi pulls up to the entrance. There are no random passers-by, just a couple of businessmen in suits stepping out of a limousine. Amaya pays and leaves. She looks at the huge glass doors. Beyond them is a spacious hall with security. Her stomach clenches. She adjusts her bag on her shoulder and walks forward. The doors slide silently. It's cool and very quiet inside. The floor is polished stone, with an abstract sculpture in the center. To the right is the reception desk. Directly opposite are the turnstiles and a security post. There are several guards, all in dark uniforms, smart-looking with attentive faces. Amaya approaches the counter. A girl with a perfectly coiffed hairdo looks at her with a polite, questioning expression. "I'm in office 2204, Amaya says, trying to keep her voice steady. "What's your last name?" Amaya states. The girl looks at the monitor, scrolling through the list. "Yes, you're on the list. Passport, please." Amaya takes out her passport. Her hands aren't shaking to her surprise. She looks carefully at the photo, then at her. She checks the information. Everything is fine. "You need a pass. Please go to the security post. They'll take your photo." Amaya goes to the turnstiles. One of the guards takes her passport and checks it again. Then he directs her to the camera stand. "Look straight ahead, please." Flash. A second later, a plastic card with her plain photo comes out of the machine. The guard hands her the card and her passport. The card is valid until the end of the day. Proceed to the elevators. 22nd floor. Place your card on the reader next to the elevator. Thank you. The elevators are at the back of the hall. She walks along the slippery floor, feeling like a stranger in this world of glass and steel. She taps her card on the black screen at the elevator bank. The screen lights up green. She presses the call button. The elevator arrives instantly. The doors slide silently. Inside, there's wood trim and mirrors. She steps in. She presses 22. The doors close. The elevator picks up speed smoothly. She looks at her reflection in the mirror. A pale woman in a simple office dress with a shoulder bag. She looks like thousands of other secretaries and assistants. Unremarkable. And now she's on her way to a meeting she can't explain to anyone. The elevator stops. The doors open. Ahead of her is a corridor, quiet, with soft carpeting. On the sides are solid doors with numbers. 2202, 2204, 2206. The walls are painted a neutral gray. Not a soul. She approaches door 2204. There's no sign with the company name, just a number. She pauses before it. What's behind the door? His people? Sam Jin-ho? Documents on the desk? She reaches out and presses the doorbell. A soft sound is heard from within. The door opens almost immediately. A man opens it. Not one of the two from the mall. It's a different one. He's also wearing a dark suit, but more businesslike. He's young, his face attentive but not threatening. He looks like a personal assistant or a junior manager. Amaya? He asks. Yes. Come in. She walks in. The office isn't big, but it's very stylish. Minimalism. A large dark wood desk holds a laptop and a few folders. 2 leather chairs for guests. A panoramic window covers the entire wall. It offers a stunning view of the city and the river. Plenty of light. There's no one else. Neither Jin-ho nor his guards. Have a seat, the man says, gesturing to a chair. My name is Dmitri. I'll give you the materials. He takes a thick brown A4 envelope from the edge of the table. He places it in front of Amaya. There are 3 documents inside, about 40 pages in total. You need a short summary translation into Russian. The main points, key figures, and terms of the deal. No more than 3 pages. You have 1 hour. Everything you need is here. He points to the table. A notepad, several pens, even a bottle of water. I'll be right here, in the next room. If you have any technical questions, just ask. There shouldn't be any questions about the content. You were asked to translate, not analyze. I'll be out in an hour. He nods and walks out through another door, which apparently leads to a small room or office. Amaya is left alone. The office is completely silent, only the quiet hum of the city somewhere far below. She looks at the envelope, then at the view outside the window. This doesn't look like a mafia lair. It looks like the office of a successful, serious company. Maybe it is a successful company, just a different kind. She opens the envelope. She takes out a stack of papers. The sheets are good quality, with logos. She quickly scans them. The first document is a commercial proposal from some Singaporean company. The second is an appendix with specifications. The third is a draft framework agreement, all in English. The language is complex, legalistic, full of jargon. She grabs a notepad and pen. She takes her first deep breath since the call that night. This is her territory. Words, texts, translation. Here, she knows what to do. She begins to read, quickly at first, to get the gist, then more slowly, jotting down the key points on a blank sheet of paper. Numbers, delivery volumes, prices, deadlines, payment terms, advance payment, deferment, guarantees, penalties for failure to comply. It really does look like a standard international transaction. Only the parties, a Singaporean company, and apparently Jin-ho's company. She works with concentration. Time flies. The noise of the city outside, the sunlight streaming into the room, all of it recedes. There's only the text, her notebook, and the need to distill the essence. She doesn't think about what she's translating. She thinks about how to translate it accurately and concisely. 45 minutes later, she has a draft ready. She rereads it, corrects it, and simplifies the wording. 10 minutes later, she has 3 pages of a clear, structured resume in Russian. The gist is clear. Singaporeans. They offer exclusive supplies of some high-tech equipment. She doesn't delve into the details of the equipment on favorable but strict terms. There are risks. The benefits are potentially huge. She puts down her pen. She looks at her watch. 58 minutes have passed. She carefully folds her sheets of paper. She puts the originals back in the envelope. At that moment, the door opens. Dmitri enters. Is it ready? Yes. Can I see? She hands him 3 sheets of paper. He quickly scans them. His face is expressionless. He nods. Excellent. That's what I need. He takes the envelope with the originals and her translation. Thank you. Your part of the job is done. You may go. He doesn't offer money. He doesn't talk about the future. He simply states a fact. Amaya stands up slowly. Her legs are numb. That's it? She asks, unable to resist. That's it, Dmitri confirms. Thank you for your promptness. The elevator will take you there. You can leave your pass in the elevator or throw it away. It will be deactivated. He opens the door to the hallway for her. His demeanor is polite but completely detached. He's simply a guide. Amaya steps out into the hallway. The door closes quietly behind her. She stands alone in the quiet, softly lit hallway. It all happens so quickly and routinely. Nothing scary, no threats, just work. She goes to the elevators, presses the button. The elevator arrives. She gets in, goes down. In the lobby, she places her access card in the small box next to the security post, as she was shown at the entrance. The guard takes a quick glance and returns to his monitors. She steps outside. The bright daylight blinds her. She stops, disoriented. It's not yet 1 o'clock. She has done everything that was asked of her. She stands before the mirrored tower, unsure what to feel. Relief? But the call had been made. The favor had been rendered. So, the debt was repaid? He had said, fulfill this request, and we're even. Or had he? He hadn't said it outright. He had said, that's it. Perhaps this was the end. She suddenly feels incredibly tired, as if all the tension of the last week and a half has burst out and left her empty. She looks at her reflection in the glass of a skyscraper, the same woman, but she was just inside, on the 22nd floor, carrying out an errand for a man she fears. She turns away and slowly walks to the nearest bus stop. She needs to get back to the office, to her meeting with Ivanov at 4, to her normal life. But will she be able to now? Or have this call and this visit forever divided her life into before and after, like the confrontation at the mall? She gets on the bus. She rides, looking out the window, but she can no longer see the city. She's wondering, is it over? Or is the white card in the box on the shelf still waiting for its next call? The bus moves slowly, stuck in traffic. Amaya looks out the window, but sees nothing. One thought pounds in her head. It's over! And then another. What if it isn't? She returns to the office. It's 20 to 2. She enters the office and sits down at her desk. Her colleagues are having lunch and haven't returned yet. Silence. She turns on the computer. The monitor lights up. Incoming emails. A to-do list. Everything is as usual. But something inside her has broken. An hour ago, she was in another world. And now, she's here again. The boundary between these worlds turned out to be thinner than she thought. Just one taxi ride. She tries to remember the details. Dmitri. The view from the window. The text of the document. The numbers. She deliberately tries to forget the details, but they're etched in her memory. Natasha returns from lunch, munching on a bun. Where did you run off to? Did you take care of business? Yes, Amaya answers shortly. Personal. Natasha nods, uninterested. Everyone immerses themselves in work. Amaya opens the document she was supposed to finish this morning. She looks at the lines but can't concentrate. Her fingers hover over the keyboard. The meeting with Ivanov is at 4 o'clock. She grabs a notepad and a folder of papers and goes into the conference room. Ivanov is already there. He's speaking loudly, demanding contract details. Amaya nods, making notes. She's working on autopilot. Her body is here, but part of her consciousness is still there, on the 22nd floor, where those 3 pages with her translation lay. What will they do with them? Will Jin Ho base his decision on her? After the meeting, she returns to her place. The workday is over. She packs her things. Everyone goes home. She does too. It's evening outside. She's driving to pick up Leo from kindergarten. He runs out to her, happy, showing her his drawing. She takes his hand. His palm is warm and small. At home, she's cooking dinner. Leo's watching cartoons. She's chopping vegetables and suddenly stops. The knife freezes in mid-air. She remembers how she dreaded this day this morning, and the day has passed. She did as she was asked, and nothing terrible happened. After dinner, while putting Leo to bed, she thinks about the box on the shelf. Can she throw it away now? Is the card inside still needed? Jin-ho said, after the request is fulfilled, this number will die. So it's dead now. So the connection is broken. When Leo falls asleep, she goes to the closet. She stands in front of it, then slowly reaches for the top shelf. She pushes aside the jar of buckwheat. She picks up the metal box. It's cold. She sits down at the kitchen table. She opens the lid. Inside is a white card, just as plain and faceless. She takes it out. She looks at the numbers. They're just numbers now. A number that's no longer active. That's dead. She doesn't tear it up. She doesn't burn it. She simply puts it back in the box and closes the lid. Then she gets up and puts the box back where it belonged, behind the jar. Maybe she'll throw it away tomorrow. Maybe not. Let it sit there as a reminder that she made it through, and that the boundaries of her world were fragile, that on a normal lunch break, she could travel to another reality and return in time for a business meeting. She goes to bed. The phone lies on the nightstand. The screen is dark. She stares at it in the darkness. It won't ring today. Today she can sleep, but sleep doesn't come right away. She lies and listens to the silence. And in this silence, she hears not a ringing phone, but a calm, even voice. I need your help. And her own answer. I'm listening. She closes her eyes. Tomorrow will be an ordinary day. Work, kindergarten, dinner. But she is no longer the same as yesterday. She is a woman who fulfilled a strange duty. She persevered. And now, in the darkness, for the first time in a long time, she feels not only fear, but also a weak, fragile confidence. She did it. And if anything, she will do it again. Because her son sleeps behind her. And for this, she will translate any documents, survive any call, walk through any door.